to Live Sessions presented by HDFC Life in partnership with ET Now. Today's session brings together two institutions that have been pivotal in shaping India's financial ecosystem, HDFC Bank and HDFC Life. With decades of trust, innovation and scale behind them, both these organizations have played a critical role in driving financial inclusion, protection and long-term planning across the country. This year also marks a significant milestone for HDFC Life as it enters its 25th year. 25 years of contributing to India's protection story. It's a timely moment to reflect on where we stand as a nation in terms of financial preparedness and, more importantly, where is it that we go from here. Joining us, two leaders who represent this shared legacy and future-forward vision, bringing together the strengths of banking, insurance, data and digital transformation. Join me in welcoming Mr. Parag Rao, Country Head Payments, Liability Products, Consumer Finance and Marketing, HDFC Bank, and Vineet Arora, Executive Director and Chief Business Officer, HDFC Life. Gentlemen, thank you both of you for your time. Parag, if I could start off with you, you in your career have dealt with various customer pools. Let me start by talking about life insurance. Tell me, how does life insurance fit into the financial bank of the bank's customers? And might I add, changing needs and changing kind of customers as well today.
Okay, so I'll answer it in two parts. So one part of where insurance fits in very clearly is our four pillars, if you may call, of the approach to banking financial services. So pay, save, invest and insure. Clearly the insurance vertical is an important part of the whole financial journey for any individual or even corporates. That's one aspect. The second aspect is globally, bank insurance channel, banks have always been probably at the forefront of driving life insurance penetration, especially in diverse geographies like India. Banks are trusted entities. Okay, people come to them for their accounts, for their savings, so on and so forth. Offering them insurance is one more into the entire piece, and therefore banks play a significantly large role in this whole penetration of insurance into especially the deep geographies. I think that's a very strong capability, and given the objective of, say, every Indian having an insurance by 2047, I think the bank insurance channel is going to be probably the leading channel in helping bringing about this penetration, not just by reaching out to customers, but offering the entire suite of banking and financial services to its customers.
Vineet, tell me, how have the needs of customers also evolved, right? Because, I mean, I just mentioned to Parag, it's not just the bank has evolved, but the customers' needs have also evolved. I mean, not just in the last decades, but even since COVID, for instance.
I would say the core need still remains the same of protection. And like Parag was talking about, the four pillars, this is one of the pillars which has been there for many years and still remains as the core need. But the expectation of, how this product will be delivered to the customer, how will they experience the product, and maybe, the various stage of services, etc., has changed dramatically. And that change has come from digital and technology, because the customers have become a lot more used to now a lot of instant gratification, instant policy issuance, instantly changing my address and phone number and everything else on the premium. So I think that's really a big difference. The second big difference which has come up is the customer has become a lot more aware. Because of the digital piece again, then they're able to research it online and compare various products. So when they come and start discussing it with you, or when you approach them, they are very clear about what they need and what they ask for. And if you are able to deliver that, the sale happens or the product is then bought. It's a very big, massive growing segment. We also have seen a lot of new generation, which is Gen Z, also buying life insurance, and buying life insurance, and they prefer digital platforms to buy life insurance. Today, nearly 10% of our business really comes from Gen Z, where they are actually buying their own life insurance. Could be surprising in the beginning, because we think it's something that we think about when we're touching 35 or 40, but yes, that's what we are seeing in data. Also, my digital platforms are growing very strongly. Customers who are coming and, trying to buy it online, we're growing maybe 2x, more than 2x of the company's growth is coming from these channels, and they're the fastest growing segments for us, which is just talks about how this entire data and technology has really taken it to the next level.
Parag, when you talk about the changing demographics of India, it's not just, the urban centers that we talk about. There is B30, which is the biggest penetration in terms of the age demographics. There's semi-urban, there's rural, and all of them now have technology at their fingertips. So tell me, how is it that you now cater to this very digitally aware and digitally accessed customer when it comes to life insurance?
You're right. Entire India and entire Bharat.
Two different segments
Two different
altogether,
segments,
yeah.
but having said this, commonalities a lot, but the entire segment for a bank like ours is the target segment. 10 to 12 years back when we started the semi-rural, there were a lot of questions about, hey, is it profitable? How can you do it? Is it huge investment, so on and so forth. But we still made the plunge and we realized that it's a wonderful segment to go to. There's a significant amount of interest in contemporary products, simple products, and if you go there and talk to those customers, you really see that, and that's that is the base for going on. Having said this, for a product category like insurance, I think even in the metros, I think the penetration is still low. Okay, so it's low. But semi-urban and rural will be the playground. The bulk of India's population resides there. As you said correctly, increasing income levels, interest in financial products, awareness, knowledge, access, all of these have sort of changed the marketplace in the last 7 to 8 years with the fintech revolution, with digitalization, etc. So it's an extremely important focus for us. The way we are approaching it very clearly is a combination of physical and digital. Okay, India, I believe, will continue to be a phygital marketplace. So we're complementing our very large distribution channel, physical, with the capability to do digital as well, and so the customer can choose and pick and choose what he wants. But typically the approach is part assisted, the rest digital. The philosophy is simpler products, especially in the semi-rural areas. Awareness, adoption is going to be the simple products, but all with the whole to say, we are bringing you the best products from the HDFC group, which is a symbol of trust. And that's the fundamental approach, but very important. And we're making massive inroads and investments into all of our 9,000 branches sell insurance across the length and breadth of it. We have the other the call centers which also do it, and we've got a digital portal where insurance customers who do it yourself purpose. So we've got all the channels ready, and we've got a very strong focus on both the urban and the semi-rural area.
But we need just, adding to the various demographic pools in India as well as Bharat. When you talk about Bharat, does that also come with its additional sort of risk? And as an organization such as yours, which caters to pretty much, all the banking and insurance needs of India and Bharat, how do you regulate that bit, the risk that comes with that kind of a large base and lending?
So there is a lot of difference between, when we go from a tier 1 to a tier 3, there is a behavior change, there is a preference change to the customer, and there is also the way that we are able to underwrite that business and understand that risk in a particular city. And it is also an angle of how much experience do we have in that area, because a lot of this data is not available. Like the insurance in India has been selling, but the data availability is largely limited to an experience of more tier 1 and tier 2. So some of this we discover on the way, and as we go along, we discover and we fine tune and we move along. So one is clearly, what kind of products are possible to be done in an area where, let's say, I might not understand the risk, so I will go with a product which is slightly more savings oriented and less on mortality. And then as we gain experience, we can, introduce more and more products. And like I earlier mentioned that now, with availability of data increasing, it's becoming easier for us to go micro segments versus earlier, the segmentations were very large, and now we are able to micro segment on locations, on profile of customers, and many other things. I think what's really helped us also is this entire technology bit, where the entire servicing, going deep is now, because we are digital, and 91% of our customers today take all the service transactions digitally, whether it's tier 1, 2 or 3. And the digital awareness has built up. It's
Are they as receptive as the urban
as
centers?
as receptive. It's not that they want to come to the branch more often. It's not like that. So they were as receptive. Other thing is, large partnerships that we have. Our parent bank, which is HDFC Bank, has really helped us go deeper and have those physical point of presence as well. So now you have a physical point of presence, you have a super capability on the digital to service the customer, and you are able to bring in products which are micro segmented. This combination, I think, is really helping us really deliver faster on this market. Today we are about 70% of my business comes from tier 2 and tier 3, so it's not a small piece.
The
It's a
numbers
large
speak
piece.
for themselves.
The numbers speak for themselves.
Right. Parag, with fintech and now these embedded insurance platforms, do things become simpler? Are customers more receptive to this? And how do you marry both?
Yeah, exactly. So, embedded finance has been a buzzword for many years. Okay,
Yeah.
not too many people have got it
Do
right.
people understand it?
Yeah,
is
the people don't
question.
understand it. So aside of the tech challenges, but I think that is the way to go, and especially in Suru, as we call it, the semi-urban rural, embedded finance is going to be the way. If you really have to take insurance penetration to levels which say banking are at that way, as a benchmark, I think embedded beyond just going the physical way, I think is an important tool. For that, obviously, you've got to have pretty intuitive and seamless digital journeys because you're fundamentally embedding 3 or 4 products, in the core product line. Okay, so it's important to be able to take care that the product, and therefore the thing which I mentioned about product simplicity, ease of access, simple information available. These are attributes which you'll have to build into the journey. Okay, but yes, I think that is the way to go, and especially for multi-product companies or people who have a suite of products and banks like us. So what we're building, or what we've already built and sort of soft launch within the bank, is an InsurTech platform which addresses customers' needs by actually bundling in a lot of the journeys into our existing journeys, whether it's a savings account open journey or a credit card journey. And we've realized that people are slowly picking. Of course, we've got to keep on driving that, but that is an important strategy for us to help us, as Vineet was saying, penetration into the semi-urban rural.
So give me an example. I mean, typically, what would an urban-centric customer who wants that and is very comfortable also along with it, with that bouquet of offerings that you provide, as opposed to what sells most when it comes to tier 3 or even rural centers?
Okay. So in an urban, typically one key difference in an urban center, the awareness of the users of life insurance obviously are better. So here, whilst people, and like Vineet said, so servicing of his policy, renewal of the policy can all be done online. He doesn't need any intervention from the bank. But he's curious to know and tell me more about what other variants. I want to club protection plus I want investment. I want pension plans, so on and so forth. A lot of these things. That's where advisors and that's where a lot of the physical interaction comes in. And then you need to guide him to the journey. That's not the case in semi-urban rural. So therefore you start from simpler products, basic product to say, hey, take a product which will protect you if you are the bread earner of the bank, or take a product, if you've taken a loan, you need also a thing. Okay, here, that's the adoption journey which we need to sort of do, and we've got to actually keep that simple. And that's what we do. So we have a differential approach to customers in terms of a strategy, whether it's in the urban and in the rural place. When it comes to embedded finance, let's take a home loan journey. Even now, surprisingly, many people who take a home loan are not completely aware of the need and the benefits of taking a life insurance policy. So you've got advisors who take you through the whole process for a home loan. Embedded in that, we now embedded an insurance journey into that process. We've seen, for example, maybe a year back, our penetration of life into the home loan segment, if I talk on an incremental basis, was in the 20s. We've now crossed the 40s already. And we're seeing good acceptance of that. And like I said, keeping the tenets of the product simplicity.
And this is across centers.
This is across centers. This is across centers. So we're seeing that kind of penetration. So embedded finance is the way, especially in semi-urban and rural.
I also wanted to talk about, life insurance, because that perhaps as a category, when you put the word life insurance in there, also it requires a lot of active management, and it's often a push as opposed to a pull strategy. How do you ensure that the customer needs are met, and at the same time maybe pool in a lot more, insurance bouquets or offerings out there?
Okay. So the way we approach is quite obviously in today's world, we have a lot of data. Just as much as we do data analytics to understand profiles for liability products and even asset products, okay, and we use that also for profiling customers depending on his demographic lifestyle, where he stays. He's a father with 2 kids, small, college going, retired, so on and so forth, profiling those customers. So we've got a very intense process which we work together in terms of ensuring offering the right product basis the profile. We use a lot of data to do that. Once we know that, then we know, so fine, you're 50 years old, you got 10 years to retirement. Do you have a pension plan? This is how it will benefit you, so on and so forth. So we've reached the stage where we would like to offer customized, okay, right down to the T of a person, because we've got a lot of data. And those are sort of profiles which we built into, let's say, our branches. When you open up a screen of a customer, let's say, Aisha, you come in, okay, there would be a broad profile of the customer and what are the preferred products to be pitched to you. That's the way we're sort of keeping on focusing. It's not just about one brush paints all.
So data helps cutting down risk of mis-selling also?
Yes,
right?
Exactly.
Okay.
So profiling, risk selling, obviously looking at income, we talked about risk, looking at the income profile and what kind of product do you sell and what's the kind of premium which is affordable. These are four critics which clearly tell you, data tells you a lot about that.
Vineet, India is now moving towards this ambitious goal for life insurance for all by 2047. I'm sure that brings a twinkle in your eye about the kind of possibilities that it actually holds for the HDFC group, not just HDFC Life. Tell me, what is it, or rather, how is it that you've tried to strategize this vision for 2047, and what strategies are you putting in place? What's the blueprint like to actually reach this goal for you at HDFC Life?
Sure, I think as we look into the future of insurance for all 2047, it's a good time to just see where we have moved in the last 25 years.
Yeah.
And I think the penetration numbers might not talk as much, but the fact is that the industry has really evolved in the last 25 years. Yeah. It's got number of channels that we reach out to now are very, very different from what it was at that point of time. Number of products and the innovations around products have really gone up. More customization is possible. A lot of data and technology has helped us service the customer better, understand the risk better. We have contributed also as an industry, I think, quite majorly to the economy, because if you see, last year I think itself we settled about 50,000 crores of claims as an industry, and all that would have gone to protect individual lives and families which have got into some kind of distress. Long-term capital which is required for the country's infrastructure, a lot of it is subscribed by the insurers. So a lot of it has moved. But as we look at the future, I think the entire discussion around how we go deeper and deeper, how do we innovate on products, how do we use more of technology and data to be able to service the customer, are the platforms that will be now scaled up to a level that will help us reach this insurance for all. A lot of work which has happened and that started to happen is because the population is now, let's say, completely banked, thanks to a lot of work being done by the banks and the banking regulator. I think that's really brought a lot of inclusion happening, and with that a lot of information about the customer and ability to then give a customized solution which is right for them. And this is really going to help us. At this point of time, we already have more than 11 crores customers who are actively under a cover today at this point of time. And this number will expand and going forward will go much more. A lot of this is embedded insurance, which is part of some kind of loan or some kind of liability that the customer might have created and needs to cover that liability. So a lot of this is through that, and maybe a large chunk also in terms of coverage is also from the retail policies that they would have bought. So these are the basic foundation stones, I would say, and as we go into 2047, this will really make it happen.
And therefore your philosophy, Sarotake Jio, I'm quite curious about that. Tell me, how does that sort of gel with the dream or the ambition of insurance for all by 2047?
Yeah. So we actually started Sarotake Jio in 2005, and it's such a nice theme that even today it has the same recall. And how this is really gel with our category, because it's about Sarotake Jio is all about living with dignity. Yeah. And living with dignity has a big correlation of being financially stable or well planned. Yes. And that's what our category really makes it happen. So there is a financial planning angle to insurance products where you have a goal in mind or you have a milestone in mind and you plan for that. And then there is a protection angle in case of an eventuality or a death in the family. How does the family really continue living with dignity? So it's really, that theme has always been there, and it's an underlying need. I think it's going to be there forever. It's a great tagline for us. The forms in which this needs to be communicated are changing as customers are changing. So that's evolving, that which customer profile, what segment, and how do they want to hear about this form and tagline. But the underlying message that, live with dignity, plan your finances better is, I think, great.
Yeah, and that so resonates with India, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, Bharat, India, all of it
Absolutely.
put together.
Everywhere.
But Parag, how do institutions, or rather the HDFC ecosystem, how is it that you actually go about your shared value system from Sar Utha Ke Jio to what the larger ecosystem and ethos of HDFC is?
So, in fact, if you look at every company within the group and their own individual lines, I think they all sort of resonate the trust which the HDFC Bank, the HDFC name sort of brings, combined with embedded customer centricity. Okay, and when you combine those both, we're actually saying that, hey, the HDFC group can offer you anything and everything in the entire financial suite which is working in. Okay, so that's one. So even prior to the merger, there was always a lot of working which is happening. Post the merger, I think even more this whole approach, platformed approach to say that all products under one platform come to the bank, and that's where the bank's logo comes in. We understand your world in terms of your financial world. Okay, so putting it down on brass tacks, so our approach has become even more platformification, if you may call it so. So whether it is life, non-life, mutual fund, slightly digressing from what it is, but the whole approach is that walk into a branch or get onto your website or through say a virtual RM, you can actually access the full suite of products which you do. And there's an extremely close working now between, notwithstanding different segments, working together to really focus. But ultimately, it's banking for all, it's insurance for all, it's mutual funds for all. That's the way we see the whole ecosystem progressing, and we're, I think, eminently leveraging our customer relationships and the large distribution channels which we built in, including now the new digital approach to the. That's the way we drive our ethos.
Absolutely. And like you said, banking, insurance, investment, it's all about trust, and who better than the HDFC group to actually, come on board with that. But thank you so much, both of you, for taking the time out and speaking with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us in live sessions presented by HDFC Life in partnership with ET Now. As India continues to evolve economically, digitally, demographically, financial protection must keep pace. And it's through meaningful partnerships, customer-first innovation and ecosystem thinking that we can build a more secure and financially resilient future for all. Stay tuned for more episodes of HDFC Live Sessions for conversations that drive purpose, progress and protection.